we've rolled out a load of new fraud features, which I'm going to run you through now. So just to explain what was there before, you have two categorizations for frauds. You have a reviewed order, and what reviewed order does is it allows the customer to order and pay, but then it doesn't activate the service until the review's been accepted. And then you have a frauded order, so an order that's marked as fraud, and that prevents payment of an invoice. Previously, we had a number of general settings, so country fraud rules and IP fraud rules that you could set to either grey list, i.e. review, or blacklist, i.e. fraud particular orders. And then we score every order that comes in, and you could set the threshold at which an order would be put into review or an order would be put into fraud. So we've added quite a lot of new features here to give more granular control to prevent fraudulent orders. So the first thing is to specify a number, a time limit in which a new client is classified as a new client, and in that time limit to specify a different threshold and score for review and fraud orders. So for example, you could here they're the same, but here we could say actually new clients, if the score is over 30 or if the fraud score is over 50, I'm going to classify those as reviewed or frauded in the first 24 hours of that client becoming a client. Then there's set options here for putting an order in review when the amount, which is in the brand currency, is over a certain value. So here, I think the brand currency is in GBP. So it would be the orders in review if the initial order is over £500. And here it's frauded if the order is over £5,000. Then there's options here for putting an order into review or fraud if there's a number of orders or a number of products within the order. So if someone's ordered, typically in hosting, you might have a bunch of domain names ordered. So you could say, actually, if there's more than 3 domain names, we're going to review that order and send it it creates a ticket. So create a ticket for review, and then over 10 just to block it and stop payment. Then you can block based on number of orders within a particular time frame to stop someone from creating lots of orders one after another that each individually might bypass these settings. And then here's the time in minutes. So what is that time frame in which these orders happen? So you might want to say here, I'm going to say 3 orders in 15 minutes marks as reviewed, and 5 orders in 30 minutes marks it as fraud. Then these are a slightly different way of looking at the orders. So if there's a number of failed payments on an order, usually this would be if someone is card testing, to throw the order into review or fraud. So you might say, look, if there's been more than 3 failed payments on an invoice or a new order invoice, then we're going to mark that as reviewed, and we're not going to set that up until it's been reviewed by someone. And that if there's been 5 failed payments, then just block the order as fraud and stop future payments. And then we get down here to the options that were there before, which are what to happen if an order goes into review. So you can review all the orders in the dashboard, of course, but here you might want to say, I'm going to send any orders that go to review or fraud. I want to create a ticket. I'm going to send it to the general department. And then if it's not answered after 5 days, I'll close that ticket. The second thing we've done on top of all of these options is we've added a little more advanced functionality on when orders are placed into review or frauded. Based on the IP that places the order, we will put a reviewed IP into a grey list here, and we'll put a fraud IP into a blacklist here. And then when that order is reviewed and accepted, we would reverse that out. What does that prevent? That prevents us from blocking one client who's fraudulent, and then from them, that client just placing a new order as a new client. Thanks.